We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, we are.
Is it okay if we start without Gary? We must have missed each other in the hall, so he usually picks you, Adam. So we'll just keep that going if that's all right. Oh, my bad. Who had the mic? Actually, Gary's not here. Go ahead, Andy. You lead us off, man. Go ahead, Andy.
I'll go. Obviously, every game is critical this time of year, but coming off that loss on Sunday, where you guys sit sort of along the bubble right now, how crucial does this win feel?
It feels very, very crucial. It's a team with similar metrics, and it's a home game, similar standings in the Big Ten, like all that stuff, right? Which, again, we're going to keep facing as the year goes on. I think most importantly, results are critical right now. Take that aside. Most importantly, our guys responded, all right, in a big way, and it responded with good physicality, responded with utilizing each other to fix things during the game. I thought our connection was better than the last game. So, listen, it's a Big Ten game in February, so there's going to be runs, there's going to be challenging moments. But our guys stuck together, and our leadership was really good down the stretch.
A lot of guys stood out in this one, but Bruce in particular, the clutch plays he made down the stretch, 8 assists, which was the most he'd had since December. Bruce has had so many great games here, but what stood out about this performance and just the balance between scoring and playmaking?
Yeah, I think, the clutchness of a lot of those possessions in the last 3-4 minutes was important. I thought he was critical component of when we were able to build a lead, which was a huge response from our guys. He read the game really well. They do some things defensively that you typically don't see. So sometimes it can take time, even though you talk about it, you walk through it, you practice against it, but until you're out there, you got a 7'5" guy, right, in the middle of the lane. It takes some time to make some adjustments. So I just think he played like an upperclassman, played like a leader, played like a really, really good player, really throughout the entirety of the game. Five rebounds, 8 assists, 21 points was impressive. I think Devin Royal, big time response. 7 defensive rebounds. It's an area we've been challenging him on. Got to the free throw line, which is something he's really good. I thought his physicality that he played with, both offensively and defensively was critical. We can keep going through guys, but you asked about Bruce. This is the time of year where you see high-level players rise up, and we got a handful of high-level players, and we got some guys who are really evolving into some really good pieces. So I like where we're headed. I like our response. We got to learn from the areas we weren't good enough tonight and get ready for a big-time game this weekend.
Going back to Adam number 2.
Did you say Adam number 2? That's interesting. When you look at the win tonight, Coach, how your team responds after Sunday, you can learn a lot about a team when they kind of hit a low point. How do you think they responded to all that? How much do you think that has helped your team kind of grow as you go towards March?
Yeah, I think it was a great response. Looking at film, I thought we looked a little fatigued the game before today, so we had to make some adjustments. With what we did in the two days leading up to this one, we're in the middle of a 5 games, however many days stretch that's really compressed. So our time has to be spent, with great wisdom, efficiency, and sometimes doing less is more. And so we took some time, one of the days, to do that, and had some conversations, talked about, owned what we weren't good enough in that game. And that's what I think I'm proud of. Our response was the things that we knew we needed to get better. We showed improvement today. Weren't perfect in those areas, but leadership and connection being a big one. You saw previous game, we tried to solve things throughout the flow of the game by ourselves. Today, it was much more collective and collaborative effort, and I think that's a big step forward for us.
When you look at the last couple of days, you get very physical in practice. You like to go with the guys. Anything happen in practice?
The sad part about this, is I wasn't even playing in practice when this happened. But the beautiful thing about it is it happened because we had guys diving on the floor and playing after a loose ball. I just happened to have my head turned to the action, was a little focused on coaching someone else up near half court, because if I would have seen it clearly, I would have been able to like hurdle that or something. But took a hard shot. But it's February. Everybody's dealing with something. So you got to. I told our guys no one was allowed to be sick or hurt. All right. Once we stepped on the court for shoot around today, that included the staff. So be all right.
Playing a team that seeks out so much contact like USC does and tries to get to the foul, the free throw line. I mean, what's the message during the game like that? You try to work through that when they're creating so much contact. Sometimes it's not even going called. Like maybe at times discouraging because what are you supposed to do as a defender? How did you work through that throughout this game?
Yeah, well, I think part of how you respond to that is you play with that same aggressiveness on the other side. If there's free throws to be had, you got to get some, and we did a good job with that. I think my issue with our fouling was we still had probably, I'd say like 9 free throws we gave them where they weren't physical, tough, unlucky fouls. They were fouls that were bad technique. They were undisciplined fouls, and those are the ones that we've been working so hard to get rid of. And we had a few of them late. I think that was a part of the problem when they got the score there really close. So we got to keep watching that, keep working on that. We got to have a little bit more discipline with guys. We're showing them those moments, and it's going to be important because we gave them some of those free throws. We didn't make them earn, and you don't want to do that in a game like this.
Jake, you guys ended up playing like 11 or 12 minutes without either Kristoff or Ivan on the floor, including some lineups of Puff that I don't think maybe have played together or played together very little. What did you make of that small ball look, and is there anything to build upon there?
Yeah, I think it's a great option. I think it's, especially depending on kind of what the opponents got from a size standpoint. They were a team that, their forwards would move around on the perimeter a little bit more, especially Kofi. He got it going from 3 and hit a couple jump shots. So, and then Asar, like he's really good, but he's not 7'2", like some of the guys we've seen. So I think Amari's got great physicality and length, and it allows us to then shift some guys down to maybe where we can get an advantage on the other end. Key's rebounding in those moments, but I think with Puff, Devin, and Amari out there, like I still like our rebounding, as long as, again, we're not out there against, like the Twin Towers and things. So it'll be game by game, I think, for us, but it's something we've worked on, so we feel comfortable that we can go to it in the flow again. Maybe if there's foul trouble, or maybe we see an advantage even offensively to use it. But we felt like that was going to be a critical lineup for us going into this game, and those guys did a good job. I don't know what they ended up plus minus yet, but it felt like we did some good things out there with them.
Jake, talking about your team's response, like kind of going off the Dylan's question about the physicality the USC played with, how much they get to the free throw line. Both teams made 24 free throws tonight. Your team only missed 1, USC missed 9. How important was emphasizing converting at the free throw line in practice for you guys this week, and how proud of you of your team for that?
Yeah, it says a lot about just the toughness, I think, because some of those were some critical clutch free throws, right? We are a good free throw shooting team. We haven't always shot at the level we're capable of, but I've just kind of felt like we were due for a game where we were just really dialed in at the free throw line. Obviously, Bruce getting there 11 times has something to say about that, but we're starting to see Tilly, I think, his efficiency keeps getting better. I'd like him to get a few more shots, but he's shooting the ball with more confidence, and both from 3 and the free throw line. Devin's a good free throw shooter. Obviously, John's a good free throw shooter. So, Von's been good from the free. So you just kind of go down the line. Like we're a good free throw shooting team. Doesn't always work out where you miss 1 when you shoot 25. I'd love to tell you I would absolutely take that every time, but. One of the things we do every day in practice is we shoot free throws during practice when we're fatigued, when we're gassed a little bit. We stop, shoot some free throws, get some water, and then we pick it back up. So I think it's important to shoot free throws when you're fatigued in practice.
Hey Jake, about 7 minutes left when Woods had a bucket. It looks like then USC called timeout, and it looks like you had a very brief conversation with Tilly about something on that play. What did you want to see him do, or what did he not do in that play that you were hoping he would, that you're kind of going over?
Yeah, I thought there were two plays. I think they might have been back to back or in a pretty tight segment where he didn't have the physicality that he had played with earlier in the game, and you know, I don't know if it was thinking about fouls or whatever, but I just, in those moments, I felt like he needed to meet force with more force, and don't just be big, like still be forceful, even though you got a smaller guy in there. So we had a great discussion about the physicality in that moment, or lack thereof.
Heading into this game, you said USC, they put officials in a tough spot, which is, I interpreted that as the way that they kind of initiate contact, they seek out contact. How do you prep for that? How do you prep when you know they're going to come right at you and you don't want to pick up fouls, but you know if you're too passive, they're going to take advantage of that?
Yeah, listen, they're not. It's not like they're doing anything illegal. They just they do a great job of initiating contact, and you know, a lot of them were fouls, and I referenced some that we shouldn't have fouled, but we did. You know, I think you combat it by being aggressive on the other end. You know, because if the game's being called a certain way, you know, both teams got to take advantage of it. You don't want to be lopsided in that regard, and I thought we did a good job with that. It's been an important part of their offense, you know, certainly with their offensive numbers. We knew that. We tried to be, you know, really technical, but you don't want to lose physicality. I thought that was something we did. Part of our physicality, lack of physicality against the team up north was we were almost like too passive at times because we were worried about fouling. So we showed stuff with guys individually. We talked about that, like still be aggressive, still play tough, still play with a strong chest. But you know, you got to show you can't pick up the two hand checks and those things. Like that's what we got clear. But I mean, Arenas, he's dynamic with the ball, and so his ability to just make you move side to side. He sees an angle. He initiates contact, and I mean, I would imagine most of them were fouls, you know, because he's good at it. It's a skill, and it's something he's gifted at for sure.
Jeff?
A couple questions about Bruce. First, what role did he play as a captain and leader on this team between the Michigan game and this game? What did he do anything above and beyond normal? Or how do you go about that?
I thought he was a little more talkative about the stuff we need him talking about. I thought his voice in timeouts was, you know, at the level it has been at times this year. I mean, where he certainly has been really. You've seen it, right? And you guys have asked me about it because you've seen it, I think, in some timeouts. So I thought that stuff was back to being at the level it needs to. But I think the important thing is he wasn't on an island from that standpoint. You know, other guys were engaged from a leadership standpoint. Devin his voice was really good today. Junie's voice was really good today. Gabe had a really good voice today. Tilly even too. Like our leadership team did a good job. We met in the last 2 days and talked about and gave examples of areas we needed to be better, and those guys responded.
And then Bruce getting into the top 5 here in scoring. I mean, obviously you're very pleased and happy for him. So that, and also, I mean, 4 years ago, do you envision? I don't know what you envision for guys in their careers, but to get to there, I mean, pretty special. Did you see that coming at all?
It's not really one of the things you talk about in recruiting. It's like, hey, come here and
Yeah.
you know, climb up the all-time scoring list.
Sure.
But you know, I think what it speaks to is the consistency, the high-level consistency he's had throughout his career. He's you know, oftentimes, I think Aaron Kraft dealt with this a little bit. Guys who play really hard and really tough, you know, you almost forget like how talented they are too. Like Aaron Kraft was also really talented, right? Bruce Thornton's really talented, and he's worked really hard to develop his skill at just such an impressive level from an efficiency standpoint. And so we never talked about it, was never even thought of mine until really this year. And I'm super happy for him, but all that guy cares about is us winning, and that's what makes it great. The other cool part about this is, you know, I'm a history buff of this program, and so when Gary tells me a name that he could pass or something, it's just a reminder of some of the talented players that have come through this program. And I think those guys need to be celebrated during this stretch too. Like the list of names that he's going to, you know, potentially go past. I mean, it's some high level players who hit big time. I mean, I still remember the shot Will Buford hit against Michigan State. You know, like you just like, so that part's cool for me, and I hope our fans celebrate those guys too while this is happening, because it's a testament to just the level of talent that's come through this program over the years.
Patrick, you know.
USC gets up 9 early, and I think coming off of what you dealt with the other day, like, that could have snowballed. You guys obviously fight back and build a lead and are able to hold on. What's going through your mind as that's happening, and then as you see them continue to fight, like, what's the pride in that to bounce back, like you said?
Yeah, this team has fight. There were some technicalities that we should have been much better at the start of the game. So that was like the part that was frustrating for me. But I didn't look out there and say, man, we're not fighting or we're not, you know, doing this. If that were the case, I probably would have burned a timeout in the first 4 minutes. Aside from the one possession on the glass where I think they got a couple offensive rebounds. But we made a couple errors in our zone early on, you know, and we had a breakdown defensively that stands out. But outside of that, I thought our effort was good, and I thought we were playing with some more physicality. Didn't end up right in the result we wanted in the first 4 minutes, but we battled and we stayed with it, and that was good to see.
You've, over the last few days, have said physicality, at least to us, probably 600 times.
I've said it a lot to them
yeah,
too,
yeah.
if you can imagine.
Is that a new thing? Is that something you've noticed throughout the season at points, or is that just coming off of that game and what Michigan offers, and then you have to respond to it?
Yeah, it's something we've talked about. I think this is a team that needs reminded about how important it is, especially this time of year, and how important it is to help our defense. I think we've had offensive physicality. We got some physical players offensively. There's been times where our defensive physicality has lacked some consistency, so it's something we've consistently talked about. It earned being talked about as much as it did, after last game. Again, that's something we owned, right? So proud of the way our guys responded, and they'll continue. They know it. They talked about it during the game. We got to be more physical. So we're heading in the right direction there for sure.
Yeah, sorry. How would you assess how Huff meshed with the offense tonight? 8 points off the bench.
Yeah, perfectly from 3, especially. I think it's been hard for him. Obviously, he gets in, starts to get a rhythm, gets injured, right? Out, almost had to kind of restart, refresh. We believe in his skill set, and he's worked really hard. And I think, the rhythm 3 took. The first one he hit was a great shot. Obviously, the second one he hit was, just imagine he practices that on his own time. But that was a big shot. I think the thing that he's done that's been most impressive to me is he's not out there trying to do too much. Offensively, he's playing within what we're doing, but then defensively, his basketball IQ and the way he communicates on the court it's great. And we actually got a couple other guys. I'd like for that to become contagious for them. We're working on that with a couple guys, but he's a high level communicator. Versatility, you guys can obviously see his versatility defensively with his ability to guard bigger guys, switch on smaller guys and things. But I've just been really impressed with how quickly he's picked things up and how much he communicates on the court.
And with his experience, do you see him stepping up as a leader at all? It's a tough spot coming in February, but do you see that from him moving forward?
I think it's hard probably to be a vocal leader per se, but I think we got a team that's really close, and he's included in that. We got high level respect throughout our locker room, so if he has something to say, he certainly has the confidence and to say it. He's got great experience, like some experience that no one else has. But I think what's been cool to see is he's been a blender. He's kind of come in and fit in might be like just too simple of a way to say it, but he's been a blender. He hasn't been silent. He's not afraid to talk, but he's blended well with our team, and we really felt like he would because he's an elite kid, like young man. He's an elite young man, and been really impressed with how well he's fitted.
Steve, in fact.
Yeah, you gave up a couple open shots, it felt like, in the first half, but in the second half, theoretically, from a half-court situation, you shot 60%, they shot 34% in the second half. I mean, it's hard to have much better run between those two numbers. Just what's your thought, I guess, how you guys dug in on defense and got better shots for yourselves, perhaps?
Yeah, we made some adjustments. I think they hit a couple threes in the first half that just we were okay with as long as they were contested. But I thought our pressure on the ball was better in the second half. We adjusted some ball screen coverage that helped us at times. And our guys, we had one of those we had one of those nice conversations, at halftime about I think the way just we were guarding the ball at times, and our guys responded like they have all year.
Jake, were you guys, was there some illness going around? I know Matthew was sick for the last game, but was there some illness, and how did Junie come out with his hand?
Yeah, I better, because he hit those threes after that. He got a little tape on there, but we'll see. We haven't even talked about his hand yet. But yeah, we've been dealing with some stuff the last really week, and it got compounded with our issues at Maryland and stuff. But I told our guys, like I told our guys today, throw that stuff out the window. We're on the court. Like there's no excuses. There's no do everything you can off the court to help yourself be in the best position to play well, right? And we got an unbelievable performance team that helps with that. But we got to have that mentality. Once we step on the court, I mean, it literally was the message before shoot around. Once shoot around starts, I don't want to hear about any sickness. Don't want to hear about any pain, myself included. So, and our guys embrace that. They show great toughness. But we got to get, we got to do everything we can to get some guys feeling better and keep some other guys from, getting ill. But yeah, it's February. There's always going to be something.
And Amari has that dunk with 4 minutes to go. They call timeout. The place is rocking. I think you're up 8 or 9. What did you learn from your team in those last 4 minutes where they put together a run, they cut it to 1 at one point? There's that timeout that seemed to last forever, the minute 48. Can you maybe tell us what you were hearing at that point too? But just what did you see from your team in those last 4 minutes where, like, you didn't let that lead disappear and you held on?
Yeah, I think we saw great poise. I think the dialogue amongst the players was high level. The timeout specifically, so shot clock was winding down. We had a play with the shot clock low because we had the shot clock issue, right? So we had a play that if I was standing right next to the official, right, to make sure I could get that timeout off because we knew we had the short clock. Bruce bobbled it, so I started really calling timeout immediately to reset the 10-second clock. We had the shot clock issue, so they had to get that figured out first before they could grant me the timeout. Once they got that figured out, they granted me the timeout. There was 21 left on the clock. That gave us the fresh 10. So that's what kind of was going on there. But I think the way our guys respond, especially after they hit the three when we were a little low on the wing of the zone, was big time response. And it's what we work on all the time. So it's good to see it carry over.
When you have an extended break like that, all the action is going on and it feels like there's a lot of momentum, but suddenly there's this extended pause. How do you keep your guys sharp? How did you handle that where it's like, maybe this is going to be a 5-second delay, it turns out being almost like a 5-minute delay? Like how do you handle that kind of random in-game adversity?
Yeah, we tried to get them a chance to sit down because they wanted to keep them standing on the court until the timeout was issued. So we finally got to sit down a little bit. But I think just keeping constant dialogue, playing out scenarios, and creating, I think in that moment it's your job, once you establish what we're doing, create some space for the guys to have conversation and talk through what they feel, what they see, what adjustments they like. And we just kept kind of talking through that time. We were able to sit down and hydrate a little bit, and then we had a good plan going out. I think our guys felt real confident in it.
Perfect. And then, Coach, after the 2-13 three-pointer stat line in the first half, how did you kind of change your team's mindset to drastically improve your three-pointer percentage in the second half?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number of those 13 threes, but too many of them were non-paint touch threes. And that was something we talked about when we went over our offensive adjustments. We got to at least touch the paint at some point in the possession earlier before we're taking contested threes. Now, if we have wide open threes, like, we want to be really aggressive, you know, and obviously personnel is a factor in all this, right? But, you know, I think for us, too many times early contested threes without putting pressure on the defense or causing rotation. That was the kind of, you know, consensus after the first half. And we were able, you know, I thought our screening was better in the second half too. We didn't screen well enough. We got Junie loose on some with some screens. I thought Bruce had a couple really good looks that, you know, he'll hit, especially there in the second half. So screening was an element, and then I think just our intentionality of touching the paint first helped.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coach, thanks.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Jake.